Hi. Wait. Did you hear that? If you did, and I'm the only one speaking, you may have a little voice in your head. Show of hands. Does anybody ever overthink things? Be honest, okay? You may have a little voice in your head. What if we didn't listen to that voice and we just did or said the first thing that comes to mind? Well, actually, that's how I'm here now. So it was 3 a.m. I was in Vegas. I was a little buzzed, and I get an email from my friend Rachel Rothendermule. And she said, Dave, why don't you enter this TED Talk? And I thought, okay, what do I have to lose? What the hell? I'll say the first thing that comes to mind, and they'll never pick me. Question number 1. In 500 words or less, please share with us a recent accomplishment you're most proud of. So I thought to myself, well, I work for L'Oreal, the largest global beauty brand in the world. At SalonCentric, we talk KPIs, PDMs, gap analysis reports. I'm not exactly a cookie-cutter employee, so I guess a recent accomplishment I'm most proud of is the fact that I still have a job. And that's what I wrote. Ask Sophia. I'm being serious. I don't take credit for that. I give credit to my managers that have to put up with me. Usually the conversation sounds something like this. Zane, why don't we try this? Dave, what company do you work for? That's not exactly protocol. I'm like, okay. Question number 2, it said, please list your public speaking experience. And I thought, well, that's easy. I raise my hand at sales meetings and answer questions. I do salon staff meetings. I used to host comedy years ago back in college at a comedy club. And then, of course, late night sitting around the dinner table with friends. But, and I wrote this, at least 2 out of, maybe 3 out of 4 of those involved alcohol. Not me, but the people listening to me. So if any of you are drinking, go ahead and raise your hand, because I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding, because they'll probably find me more entertaining. Anyways, what if that little voice that speaks to us during times of uncertainty is actually sending us a signal that something monumental lies just ahead? And what if that signal is telling us that if we take the time to think differently, this could be precedent-setting in the timeline of our life? I, too, have a little voice. But mine is not a voice of reason or a voice of fear. That would be far too easy. No, mine is more like a neurotic version of Woody Allen, Larry David, and my Jewish mother, Judy Ziegelman. So usually the voice sounds something like, oh, you better not do that, Dave. Don't try something new. I know somebody else that did that. It didn't work out too well for them. So how does this relate to beauty? Well, as I said, we work for the largest global beauty brand in the world. We sell confidence. We sell people things that make them feel better. We help cover insecurity. Very often, and more times than not, those insecurities could be as a direct result of a humiliating experience. I'm not going to stand here and share with you the successes I've had at SalonCentric over the last 21 years. I'm humbled and honored just to be speaking to you guys today. But I will share with you some of the challenges, obstacles, and humiliation that I dealt with before I joined the company, which made me who I am today. So, as a kid, I thought I was cool. Except, there was only one problem. My hair didn't exactly tell the same story. That's me in the middle. And those are my twin brothers, Larry and Terry. So, my mother used to take us to this place that did $5 haircuts. And what happened was, it was like one haircut style, $5 every day. Obviously, my brothers went there as well. So when I went to school, I couldn't sit with the cool kids. I had to sit at a table for kids with $5 haircuts. And I knew that a good haircut would change my life. But meanwhile, I've got this little voice in my head. It's the voice of my mother. Mr. Big Shot, A $5 haircut's not good enough for you anymore? It's good enough for Larry and Terry. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's probably a good thing that I was born first. Otherwise, my name might be Barry or Jerry, but it's David. So that was humiliating. And to make matters worse, I had a girlfriend, and she broke up with me because I had bad hair and I was too skinny. And that was my second lesson in humiliation. But you know what? Obstacles are what your eyes see when your heart loses sight of its goal. And I knew that a good haircut would be in my future. I just didn't have any money to get there. So I had to think differently. Most kids would do a lemonade stand to raise money. Pardon me? Most kids would do a lemonade stand. But to me, that was too labor intensive. So I didn't want to sit outside in schwitz. So I had to think differently. I went to my father, and I borrowed $5. And I went to 7-Eleven, and I bought all the Pop Rocks that they had. Pop Rocks were these little packs of candy. You put it on your tongue, and they pop. So each pack cost me 25 cents. I went to school. I realized at a young age, kids have no concept of money. So I took the 25-cent thing of Pop Rocks to school and traded kids the Pop Rocks for their lunch tickets, which cost 75 cents. It was a win-win because kids got to eat candy for lunch. I got a 75-cent lunch ticket, which I resold to my parents and all of their friends for 50 cents. I was doubling my money. It was a win-win. I basically ran the largest lunch ticket diversion ring in my school. Until the principal stopped me because a parent called because their kid was eating candy for lunch. That was the end of my lunch ticket diversion ring, but it was not the end of my dream to get a good haircut. So, a couple years later, I see an ad in the paper, and it said, male model wanted for a hair salon campaign. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is God speaking to me. This is my calling. So I went to my mom and I said, Mom, please, I need a ride to this salon. I want to audition to be a male model. And she had me take the bus. So I get to the salon and I'm late. I walk in and I see guys everywhere with great haircuts, good-looking guys. And I sit down with the owner and I said, I know there's a lot of great-looking guys here and they've got great haircuts. But with me, I'm a blank slate. I had if you remember a chia pet, I had a Jufro. It was like a Jewish afro. And I said, the problem with all these other guys is that they've got somebody else's look. With me, you can create your own look and make me the look for your brand. So she found it entertaining, and I said, you don't even have to pay me. Just give me free haircuts. So she selected me, and this billboard was actually all over St. Louis. And you know what it did? It gave me the confidence. I had my own table at the lunchroom, and kids wanted to sit with me. And it also introduced me to the world of modeling. And that girl that broke up with me when I was in high school because I had bad hair and was too skinny, as Julia Roberts said in Pretty Woman, big mistake. Big, huge. But humiliation doesn't end in high school. Yes, it carried its way all the way to college. And there was a class that I read the description of. It was called consultative selling. And I thought to myself, my gosh, this class is perfect. I need to be in this class. And I went to my advisor and I said, I need to be in this class, consultative selling. And he said, Dave, this is for business majors. I was a tourism major. I thought maybe one day I would run the Olympics. And it wasn't in the School of Business. It was in the School of Parks Recreation at University of Missouri. There really is a School of Parks Recreation. So I said, I need to be in this class. And he says, there's nothing I can do. There's a list of business majors that are ahead of you that get first priority. So on the first day of class, I showed up. And I had that little voice in my head. It was the voice of Larry David. And it was like, what are you, a schmuck? You could have slept late. But I didn't care. I went there and I sat with all the other business majors. And when the teacher did roll call, and she came to me last because my last name is Ziegelman, she said, Mr. Ziegelman, you're not in this class. Wouldn't you be more comfortable maybe in a Parks Rec class, learn to be a park ranger in the next building? I felt humiliation. I said to her, but this class is going to change my life. I have to be in this class. And she said, I can't physically kick you out, but you're welcome to sit in the back of the room and observe. So I did. I felt like that kid sitting at a table with other kids for $5 haircuts. I went and sat in the back of the room. And every day, for 6 weeks, I showed up at the class, and she would walk by me, and she'd roll her eyes, and the little voice in my head would be the voice of Larry David, and it would be like, Woody Allen. Yep, she thinks you're a schmuck. But I sat there every day. I didn't ask a question. I just sat there by myself. And then something amazing happened. On week 6, somebody dropped the class. The teacher came to me and she said, Dave, I'd like to invite you to join the class. Even though there's a list of students on the waiting list to get in before you, they've already missed 6 weeks. There's no way they could catch up. So she walked me to the front of the room in college and said, students, we have a new classmate today. And she introduced me to everybody, and they all laughed because they saw me sitting in the back for 6 weeks. So at the end of the semester, I got an A, and they had an audition. They were looking for a TA, and I said, oh my gosh, I want to be a TA. I want to audition. The teacher said, Dave, while you were my best student, you're not in the business school. I can't let you in to be a TA. And I said, didn't you take some kind of Hippocratic oath for teachers that said you're going to provide the best education for the students? She goes, something like that. I said, well then, make me a deal. Do me a favor. Let me audition. Let the chips fall where they may. Don't tell anybody that I'm not a business major. And see where things go. I became the TA. And when I joined Salon Centric 21 years ago, I introduced a new program called consultative selling. And I trained all the new hires. Imagine. What if obstacles were what your eyes see when your heart loses sight of its goal? And what if, when that little voice that speaks to you during times of uncertainty is actually a signal telling you that if you just think differently, this could be a precedent-setting moment in life. As Einstein said, you can never solve a problem with the same kind of thinking that created the problem in the first place. Finally, I ask you, never let other people's limitations contain you, especially when those other people are little voices in your head. Thank you.